Holy snapping bra straps. It's a podcast. Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours Avalon Standard Time.
Hi, this is Beat calling from Baltimore, and I love listening to The Roar.
Hi, my name is Debbie Gillespie from Toronto, Canada, and I'm listening to Republic of Avalon Radio, the greatest podcast on earth. And it's from Canada, eh?
This is Kevin Ducey from Alabama. You're with The Roar.
Jim and Lillian Fiddler. This is Mike Busboom from Vienna, Austria.
Hi, this is Jim Fiddler from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, and you are listening to Republic of Avalon Radio.
Republic of Avalon Radio. You're with the Roar! Republic of Avalon Radio, you're with the Roar. I'm Jim Fiddler, and I would like to say a great big hello to all you folks who have been tuning into the Roar on a regular basis. Well, as regular as you can. The episodes are a little bit sporadic, or they have been. But we appreciate you sticking with us. And of course, a great big welcome to all you newcomers. If this is your first foray with Republic of Avalon Radio, we're very, very glad to have you aboard. Hope you enjoy these weekly excursions with us. We play a bit of music, we talk, and have a bit of fun. And we very much like to take you with us out to various places and let you kind of take a little vacation, a cheap vacation, without actually having to go anywhere. So that's about what you can expect here. And we hope very much that you enjoy it. This week we have an episode for you. We take you out on a little excursion around the bay, to coin a phrase. We're going to take the Shenandoah 2, Deejay Charters. We're going to get on board of her and take you out through St. John's Harbour, out through the Narrows, into the wilds of the North Atlantic, over to Cape Spear, the most easterly point of North America, closest to Europe, into Dead Man's Bay. Out around, we're going to hear some birds and some whales, lots of dolphins, a little bit of music, and of course, more of the regular foolishness that you've come to expect from us here at the Roar. And then we're going to, of course, swing around and take you back in through the Narrows to St. John's Harbour. Hence the title of this episode, which, by the way, is lucky episode 13. So keep your fingers crossed, put on your life jackets, and join myself and Lillian on board the Shenandoah 2. You're listening to Republic of Avalon Radio. Okay, we're just getting out of the taxi cab. We are at the dock and just looking at getting on board Deejay Charters, I guess, for a shout out through the harbour. And we got Randy here.
Hey, how you doing, Jim?
Good. Randy's our. You're a skipper today?
No, we got Nola's on board skipper today. I'll be first officer today.
This is Noel over here.
Nola's, yes.
Where's
Noel?
Noel?
Right there.
Skipper Noel.
Skipper Noel.
How are you? What's the name of the boat, by the way? We were wondering what the name of the boat is.
The boat is the Shenandoah 2. The previous boat was called the Deejay,
Okay.
And from that I called it Deejay Charters, and the name DJ come from Don Jameson, who was a statesman for Newfoundland, and before many portfolios in Ottawa. And before he retired, he was Canada's ambassador to England. After he passed away, I bought his boat, and I kept the name DJ. I called it Deejay Charters, so when I bought this other boat, I had to keep the name. So
Oh, okay.
Deejay Charters on the Shannon too.
Wow, okay. Well, and of course Shannon would be the last living member of the Beothuk people who were here before the Europeans came over.
Yes, that's correct.
So grand, and it looks like we got a very good day. What's she like outside, as far as you know?
Should be nice. The wind is westerly, so it should be a nice day on the water.
Sounds good to us. Perfect. Well,
Okay.
Will we embark?
Yes, we'll get on the way.
Okay. We're just going to get on board here now. We're going to go up the gangway.
Put your hands on my shoulder.
Put your hand on my shoulder. Okay. No problem. After you. We're going down the gangway. And no problem. Okay. Down we go. And we are on board. And we are now getting seated on the boat. Haha. Oh, this is very nice. It's very nice. So we're actually sitting on board the boat now. We've got some music in the background. Of course, this is all Newfoundland music. And as it is just background music, we should be quite fine with the RIAA and all these kinds of people, because we're doing a tour on board the Shannon 2, Deejay Charters, on September 5th, 2005, with the sun shining down on us and a nice little breeze in the air. Yeah, we're under steam here now, heading out through St. John's Harbour. A few interesting things we just noticed. Of course, we mentioned to you before that we're finally in the iTunes directory, and we just noticed, looking at the stats, that just in the last week we've had 100 new subscribers through iTunes, which is really, really nice. And if you are one of the newcomers through iTunes, quite literally, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard the Shannon 2, and welcome aboard Republic of Avalon Radio. Really glad to have you on board. And if you like what you hear, you know, as we are doing this just for it's a labor of love. We're just doing this strictly for the love of it. Well, two things you can do to help us out would be, one, I guess, go to our website, republicofavalonradio.com, click on the PayPal button and drop us a little tip into the tip jar. Or another thing you could do is just, you know, tell other people if you enjoy it, and you know somebody else who might enjoy it. Just spread the word, and the more the merrier here at the Roar. So that's two things that you could possibly do to help us. And in the meantime, we're very, very more than pleased to do what we can for you and give you some audio to listen to. Get away from that. Get away from that boring television set with all those flashing pictures that burn holes in your brain, and actually let you come along with us for like today, for example, like a trip out into St. John's Harbour, and then right out through the Narrows and out into the open Atlantic Ocean. Then we're going to go down to. We're going to head down to Cape Spear, I believe, which is actually the most eastern point of North America. That's the closest bit. If you go just about straight east from where we're going to be, we'll let you know when we're there. The next thing you'd hit would be the west coast of Ireland. And I'm not sure exactly how far that is, somewhere between 50 and 1,800 miles. Not not a great, huge distance. It's just a little bit further when you, if you leave Cape Spear and go east. It's just about the same, or a little bit further, maybe 200 miles further, or something like that, than going to Toronto, which is, by most people's standards in Canada, considered to be east. Toronto is designated as east, even though it's not right out on the east coast. So, when you consider that we're just about equidistant here in the Republic of Avalon between Toronto and the west coast of Ireland, that'll give you a good sense not just where we are geographically, but also where we are historically and culturally, and why you hear these little twinges of this outrageous accent from myself and other people that you hear on the Roar. Now, interestingly enough, the skipper, he has a more of a West Country accent. He comes from out around, I'm not sure exactly where he's from, but I would suspect he could be from Conception Bay or Bonavista Bay. I'm not sure. But out that way, that's where the biggest pocket of people from what we call the West Country, from Devonshire, Somerset, and out around that way. People came from over there, over to here. And, of course, the part of Ireland where people came over here from is this, mainly the southeast, from that area around, from Waterford, Kilkenny, Wexford, County Cork, all around that area in the southeast. So now my accent would be more reflective of that bunch, which, say, from St. John's, the standard St. John's accent down through the southern shore, just outside of St. John's, would be the more Irish. And then if you go northwest from St. John's up into Conception Bay and Trinity, Bonavista Bays, that would be more the English pocket of our population. So you'll hear completely different accents from people around here, and then various blendings of the two as well, because you get little Irish pockets surrounded by English communities and vice versa and all that stuff. So that would be the linguistics section of the program. Yes, indeed. Aha, Lillian's back.
I came back. I thought I'd come down and check out and see how you're doing.
Well, I was just sort of babbling here, aimlessly, senselessly babbling into the microphone here. So it's good that you're back, because you can kind of tell us where we are and what's going on and stuff.
We just rounded Signal Hill, come on the back side of Signal Hill. So I can see Cabot Tower from here. And I think we're going into a little cove called Kitty Vitty Village. I think we're just going to come around and go in there. That's what it seems like.
Oh, okay. So we're actually going into Kitty Vitty today. Last time we were out here on the Shannon-Diddy 2. When was that? Was that the 29th of June, was it?
It was, yeah.
29th of June. It was all of us with the crowd from Ireland that were here, and we all had a great time out on the boat. And we were sort of thinking about going into Kitty Vitty, but we didn't after, for whatever reason, so we swung around and went down around Cape Spear and all that.
I don't think the weather was right, remember it was pouring raining. We kind of went into the cove there a bit, and it was pouring, and everybody went into the cabin.
Yeah.
That was really nice boat ride.
It was really warm, though. I remember the wind was just like it was coming out of a hairdryer.
Yeah. Actually, at certain times, depending on where you are, the warm air coming from the land is just amazing. You feel like you're down south somewhere.
So how are things going with your ambience recording up on top?
I think it might be pretty good, although, there's music in the background and stuff, so I leaned over and got a bit of the water, kind of the water against the boat, which I think will be nice.
Okay.
We're passing this massive rock here now with, wow. I don't know, I'm not very good with distances, but that's just probably like a 6 or 7 story building, I guess, like a high-rise building. More than that, maybe 10 stories.
You mean as tall as?
As tall as, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And there's seagulls nestled all over the big rock. They have their little homes.
They're rocking.
They're rocking, yeah. They have the life out here.
Yeah, but it won't be too nice now once the weather cools down.
Oh, that's for sure. Wow. Do they go inland or anything like that, or do they just stay out here?
I think they have some sort of plan with what's Amway?
Amway.
What is Amway?
Amway is one of those hierarchical things where you sell like detergents and
okay.
products and stuff, and then.
Okay, well, who would they have? I'm obviously not very good at that. So who might they have a deal with? Some travel company. Some unknown travel company unnamed travel company that we won't promote right now.
Yeah, probably. The Great Seagull.
Seagull Travels. Okay, we're back to normal here now, because with the two of us, this is much better than me just sitting here by myself babbling into a microphone.
Yeah. Well, you do good babbling.
I don't know.
I think so. Don't you agree?
Come, we go chant down Babylon one more time.
Come, we go chant down Babylon one more time.
No, it's come, we go chant down Babylon one more time.
Come, we go chant.
Oh.
Okay.
It's only each one once. Oh well. So we'll take up the learning Bob Marley songs on another episode of The Roar, or before the next episode of The Roar, and then we'll get Lillian all sorted out with the with the singing.
All right then.
So Lillian's taking voice lessons, actually, or she has been, and it's interesting. I have a set of these things, actually. They're actually the national pipes of Ireland, called the Uilleann pipes, or a lot of people call them the Uilleann pipes, spelled Uilleann, and I'd say most widely called Uilleann pipes. So when she was taking the voice lessons, I said, "Oh, grand, she's you're going learning the Uilleann pipes."
Who better to learn the Uilleann pipes than me?
Exactly.
Well, we're out here now, so that's
Hey, what if we hijack the boat?
With what? Did you bring your pocket knife?
Maybe a box cutter. Ask them if we can. Ask them if anyone has a box cutter that we could borrow. Imagine going up to one of the crew and saying, "Hey, you got a box cutter we can borrow?" And he says, "Yeah, sure." And he goes and gets it for us. Says, all right, now we're going to Ireland.
That might be okay. Except maybe they won't have enough water on board. They got beer.
Water? Well, we got plenty of beer, yeah. Beer and rum and whiskey and I'd say like soda pop and juice and all these kinds of things. I'd say we got a fair bit of bottled water too.
Yeah, we probably do. We might not have enough food though.
Well,
people.
We can fish.
This is true. This is true. We can fish all the way there.
I think there's probably a few fish in the water there somewhere along the lines. Oh, we're really getting into the windy zone here now. So I'm going to have to keep the mic more in toward myself, I do believe. Yeah. Don't think that I could actually record a whole heck of a lot of... Let's just try this here. A little experiment. I was just talking to the first mate there a little while ago, and according to him, the whales are of an option at this point in the season. I think the best time for the whales are June and July, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of had a feeling about that too. It doesn't seem like there's any whales out here.
Okay, I'm going to hand you the mic, and you're going to just kind of describe what's going on.
All right. Well, we are now. I can see St. John's over there to the right, and it's very beautiful. Very beautiful from this vantage point. I can imagine what it would have been like for people coming in on a ship, especially for the first time. Having a look at the downtown St. John's with the old buildings and the Basilica, which is one of the oldest churches in North America, I would say. I think they built it from stones carried over from somewhere in Europe. I'm not exactly sure. From Waterford, yeah. So that was many, many years ago. And they actually have a light up there. It's a blue light so that it guides ships in through the Narrows.
The blue light.
The blue light.
I'll have to tell my blue light story one of these days on the Roar.
Yes, Jim has a very, very interesting blue light story.
Actually, it's more than one story. I've got a few different blue light stories, and it's kind of weird, but maybe one of these days I'll just break down and tell you guys some of these blue light stories.
We'll do
and it has nothing to do with beer.
We'll do a little paranormal section of the show sometime. Hey, maybe around Halloween, because we're gonna.
Would that be a normal? Oh, hang on now. Would that be a normal person in a wheelchair?
A paranormal. What's that other one? You have another joke like that.
Oh, that's the. You're listening on the news. They're talking about the right wing guerrillas and fighting the left wing paramilitary, and I just picture this kind of battlefield, and they got on one side of the field you got these guys with the big ape kind of creatures with on their backs. They've got one wing, just a left wing, and these guys got all like kind of stones and clubs and stuff, and then you got these other guys, the right wing paramilitary. They got these power wheelchairs, and they got this one wing on the right side of their back, and they've got all the AK-47s and heat-seeking grenades and all that kind of stuff. So that's the left wing guerrillas and the right wing paramilitary.
I have an idea.
She has an idea.
What you say we go in and parler avec le capitaine?
Do we have anything to parlay?
Maybe he does.
I didn't bring my trading chips.
Did I say that wrong?
No. I'm just playing with words as usual.
Okay. Might be an idea just to find out where we're going and find out a little bit more about,
life.
Life on the sea, Billy. Some people.
Oh, they're finally playing some good music.
Oh. What is that? It sounds like.
It's Midnight Rover by Jim Fiedler.
It's about time.
So, for any of you who don't know the term, my family are what you call Spielleute. So there you have it.
Yeah, they are actually Spielleute.
What?
Spielleute.
Spielleute. Okay, so we're going to Spielleute. We're going to do some Spielleutering now.
We're going inside?
We're going inside. And because I have the mic, I have to do the very confident-looking sailor walking because I can't hold on to anything, of course. She's always telling me to watch my step. That sounds like some kind of a threat. You watch your step.
Somebody's going to tell you to watch your step.
Okay, now we're... Oops. Okay. Oops. There we go. There was one more little step.
Okay.
So we're just talking to the captain here.
Captain Noel Bradbury, is it?
I'm just wondering whereabouts you're from yourself. Whereabouts did you grow up?
Bay Roberts is my own place. A lot of people have told me I have an Irish accent, but born and reared, as the saying goes, in Bay Roberts, and I've lived in Bay Roberts, as you know, is probably about 40, 50 miles north of where we are now, and I've lived in St. John's, I would say, approximately 30, 35 years.
Okay, so you're tantamount to being a townie now.
Well, you can call me that, but my accent is not going to agree with you.
That's right. That's right. No, actually, I grew up looking right across at you. I grew up in Long Pond.
Oh, okay. Yes, quite familiar with Long Pond. Yes, that's right. Right across the bay from where I grew up. That's correct. Right. So now, as we get on a little farther on off that topic, we're going to be up to the most easterly point in North America, which is Cape Spear. So we'll probably stop for a minute or two when we get up to that location, and you can tell your friends that you're closer to Ireland than you are to the coast of Ontario.
I was actually telling them that earlier, but that'll be grand. And what we can do is maybe if we could just for that bit cut the music, and Lillian can go up top with her microphones and record a bit of the sounds for folks.
Yes, you can certainly do that. When I get right up on Cape Spear, we'll shut everything down for a few minutes and we can take it from there.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Okay, nice talking with you, and thank you.
Okay.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
You're with the Roar! Okay, well, here we are on the Shenandoah 2. Deejay Charters, and we're just off Cape Spear, the most eastern tip of North America. So we were talking to the skipper earlier, and he mentioned that when we get right off Cape Spear, he was going to kind of cut the music. I don't know if he was going to cut the engines or not, or the engine, I should say. And the sun is bursting out just when everyone thought it was going to rain. But that might just be for the moment. Anyway, it's a beautiful day here in the Republic of Avalon. 22 degrees or so centigrade, which for our American friends, that would be 73 degrees, 72, 73, something like that. So it's just perfect. And the sun's shining down on us, and it's right wicked.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. There's people out, I guess tourists out on the rock there on Cape Spear taking pictures of the boat as we're going by.
And they're taking pictures of us here with the microphone and so on and so forth as well, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. They're pretty close.
Too far? What?
They're fairly close.
How are you familiar with their degree of being acquainted with each other?
Well, they're sitting close together, some of them, in groups.
Are they holding hands?
I don't see anybody holding hands, although there's one couple that are sitting quite close.
Well, probably they're very close.
They're probably very close. We're getting really close to the rock here. I can see why they have lighthouses on this rock.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here's now. I think you should go up and get some sound effect stuff.
Okay.
Lillian's going to go up.
To the other side, actually, because there's people up above.
Lillian's going to go and get some ambience for you guys, and I'll just check out for the moment. We're getting into an area here now where actually the wind is a little bit less than where we were even a moment ago. A bit of a swell. We're swelling. We're kind of rocking from side to side. These boat tours go out all summer, so any of you who decide to visit us here, especially in June and July, that's a good time for the whales. And we see a whale.
Whale off the starboard bow, sir. Whale off the starboard bow. Not sure.
Two whales off the starboard bow.
Are they blowing? Yes, they are blowing. Two off 1 o'clock, sir. Blowing. Yeah, we can see them. Carry on. Go. Have a look at them. Probably fin whales coming through. Head them off in the pass.
They're going to start up the engines here now and see if they can intercept those whales. There's two whales just about straight ahead of us. I think a little bit maybe off to starboard. So they're starting up the engine, and we're going to head toward them. And apparently there's a couple more behind them. So we've got 4 whales anyway, and I think there was some speculation that they might be what are known as fin whales. Okay, now we've got the bow right into the waves, so we're cutting through the waves in hot pursuit of the fin whales. Dolphins?
Yeah, dolphins.
You sure they're dolphins?
Yeah.
Really?
Apparently they like to swim behind the boat.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
What?
They're all over. Like there's a few of them over on the, I don't know what side that is.
Talking to the mic here now.
Let's go over to the other side.
Okay, we're going to head over now to the starboard side. Okay.
Oh my God, they're beautiful. You just see their fins. There's a bunch of them. Are they dolphins over here?
Dolphins and fin whales.
Dolphins and fin whales we have just off the...
On the other side now.
Now they're on the other side. Make up your minds!
Wow.
Return the boat.
Oh my God, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they'll swim in the
There's
wake of the boat.
like a school of them.
They love swimming in the force of the water coming back on them.
It's like having a jacuzzi.
Yeah, so they'll swim in the wake of the boat.
Wow.
Okay. So what
Oh, they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Fin whale is right here.
And a big.
Fin whale's about 50 feet off the side of the boat.
There's big schools of dolphins.
Big
though.
schools of dolphins everywhere.
Oh
Everywhere,
my God,
look.
they're everywhere.
They're just feeding everywhere. There's probably we're probably looking at about 150 dolphins here right now with 4 or 5 fin whales.
Wow.
I've never seen dolphins. Oh, look at a big whale too. Right in the center of all the dolphins is a big whale, big fin whale.
Okay.
I've never ever seen dolphins like this in Newfoundland when we've been out like this. Just amazing.
Wow.
They're kind of jumping. The dolphins are very small, and they come up and they kind of do a jump up on top of the water and go back down.
Uh-huh. Whereabouts are they now?
About the size of me, probably.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just wee things.
Yeah. They're so cute. And they got big fins on them, and they're like right across from us here. There's about a dozen, and they're all hopping up in a row. Like, they're so amazing. And they're black on the top and white on the bottom.
Wow. The Michael Jackson fish.
That's funny. They're so close though, you could almost reach out and touch them. Wow.
Where are they now?
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're ahead of us and they're behind us and they're all on the side of us. They're close and they're far away. Like he was saying, there's about 150 of them or so out there.
They've got you surrounded.
Maybe they're going to corral us into some sort of I don't know.
Maybe they don't want us to hit that rock. They're getting all around us saying, boys, watch out for the rock.
They're so pretty.
Okay, we're turning around here now. I'm just kind of 1 foot on the deck, one knee up on the bench, and my right hand is holding on to the rail. And
They're way out there. They're everywhere.
we're swinging around. What are we doing?
And what kind of birds were they flying there? Were they murs or something like that?
No, the birds we had flying there are just what we call a saddleback seagull.
Okay.
We have, there's 4 different species of seagulls here. Well, it's the blackback, the saddleback, the herring gull, and the kittiwags.
Okay.
That's the 4 type of gulls that we'll see around this coast. But these ones that we see here now feeding on the leftovers from the dolphins and the whales are blackback seagull.
There's a few fish out here, I guess.
There are feeding on. Captain told me the other day. The other captain I had on, he told me what they were feeding on. They were a deering fish.
Oh, okay.
It's a little, much the same as a capelin, but they were actually. I was watching them actually jumping out of the water, trying to get away from the from the dolphins and stuff.
So was this a bit of a surprise for you guys today, seeing all these dolphins and a couple of fin whales and stuff?
It's surprising for this time of the year. We've had them all summer. We've had orcas last week, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like the passengers were asking me when they were booking if they were going to see whales, and I said, well, we may, and we may not. I wouldn't rule them out. And so that's what we have here now. We have a big surprise today. We have, I believe there's 4. I believe we got 4 fin whales and probably about 150 dolphins here right now, just circling the boat.
Wow.
Feeding away. So, again, like I said, yeah, in regards to up in this time of the year in September, it's a rarity to see so much marine life. They all pass through the zone all summer, but they're usually chasing their feed, which is the capelin that they all feed on. And we usually get those in July, June and July. So, yeah, this is quite a treat today, especially with the tourists we have on board.
They're quick little things, aren't they, the dolphins?
And I'm surprised that they're not on the running off the stern of the boat right now, because they love to swim in the wake of the propeller.
Almost like on the highway when you get behind like an 18-wheeler or something.
18-wheeler, well, you kind of shelter yourself behind an 18-wheeler so you don't burn much gas. But these guys, they love pushing against the wake of the boat. It kind of excites them, and they have a great time.
Uh-huh. Cool. I'm just going to hand the microphone to Lillian here and just let her describe sort of what she's seeing off the port side.
Well, the dolphins are so close now that you can see their eyes actually when they come up out of the water. And they're so cute. They're so sweet. And I don't see any right at the very moment, but I'm sure they'll be back very shortly. Where did they go? Oh, here they are. They're on the other side now. And they have little fins. Little fins. And they're swimming all around. They're not actually swimming in one direction anymore. They're kind of circling the boat. And some are in little schools and some are on their own. But they certainly look like lively little creatures.
Some are homeschoolers?
They're so pretty. Everywhere you're just seeing fins coming out of the water, big fins. And we've got lots of seagulls all around as well. I'm surprised that they don't get hit by the dolphins as they come up, actually, because the seagulls are just sitting on top of the water. Well, this is certainly the most fish I've seen out here like this. I've only seen dolphins a few times, but this is a real treat.
Yes. That's the guys. That's why bringing the whales around, see?
There's a small boat headed our way as well. Just a small cabin cruiser. I guess they're coming out to have a gander at all the fish. And there's the whale over there. He's just kind of floating on the surface. He's big.
He's a whale of a fish.
He's a whale of a fish. There he is again.
Right here. Get your mic here.
A big fin whale going to come up out of the water here. I think. Oh my God! The dolphin just jumped right up out of the water.
See that one jump?
That was better than being at Disney World. Okay. Yeah, that was really something, seeing that dolphin come up like that. Oh my God, two just jumped right out of the water, two dolphins.
Apparently 2 dolphins just jumped right up out of the water.
Up at the same time.
We have a whale off to the starboard. In case you guys don't know, port is the left, starboard would be the right, the bow would be the front, and the stern would be the back of the boat. So there's your terminology. What's that?
I say somebody's looking down on us to
Yeah.
find this wildlife out here today.
Oh, absolutely.
Please, all our passengers on board.
And the listeners as well.
And the listeners.
Yeah.
As well.
Yep.
Ooh, we're really rocking now.
Yeah, we're right out in the open now.
We're really rocking here now.
The whale just came up and blew some water up in the air. There's another whale. There's 2 out here now.
We've got 2 whales on the move. What?
There must be 2 or 3 out here right now.
Okay.
Oh, there's another one.
I just heard one blow there. I think you folks probably heard that one too.
Now the dolphins are behind the boat.
Just in case any of you guys want, I don't know if they have any pictures up on the site or
I think they do. Yeah.
what the situation is, but in case you guys want to check out the DJ Charters, what's their website?
Triple-U.
Yes.
DJ, that's DEEJAY.
Yeah.
Charters.ca. So it's DJ.
Okay. Okay. So the website for you guys to go check out DJ Charters is www.djcharters.ca, as in DEEJAY charters.ca. So you can go and check out their website, see what they're all about. Well, I guess you get a good feel for what they're all about here today, or tonight, if you might be listening in the nighttime. That's always the best time, I find, to listen to anything. I love listening to stuff in the nighttime. So we're in Dead Man's Bay.
This is called Deadman's Bay because the The next bay over, Freshwater Bay, was inhabited at one time. People used to live there. And obviously they didn't want to bury their dead around their homes or in their bay over there. So what they done is they buried them on top of the cliff in this bay.
Wow.
Right
Oops.
in Deadman's Bay now.
Wow. How big is this little bay?
This little cove we're into right here now, it's probably about 1,000 feet wide, and it's from the actual coastline, the headland is probably about 2,000 feet deep into the beach.
Oh, it's nice and warm in here.
Oh, the sun is coming down. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. We're probably 200 feet offshore right now, off the beach, and we're sitting in about 50 feet of water right now. So, the sun playing down on this all day. It'd probably be a nice place to go for a dip, but the water is still quite cool this time of year. But this in lobster season, you'll see quite a few lobster pots planted around the edge of this cove as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, geez, it's a lovely day here today.
The sun is beating down here in the bay now. It's the waves are just rolling in on the beach there, and the only access to this beach is down a little gulch there in the side of the cliff, and it's probably about 1,000 feet down from the path that walks along the top of this cove. So there's a bit of a guideline. It's part of what we call the East Coast Trail, and I guess somebody in their wisdom decided to use a guideline down this gulch this year. For a number of years, we'd see people on the beach, and they'd have no access or help. So I've been noticing all this summer, every trip in, that there's been more and more people in on the beach, and they're using this rope down the gulch as a guideline.
Oh, okay. So if we went in there now and we came up, let's say we went, we tried to make our way back to St. John's or whatever, where would we end up if we came just right up over?
We go up on this gulch here now. You would end up on what we call the East Coast Trail, and it's approximately about 8 kilometers back along the trail to the entrance to the harbor is where the trail begins. And the East Coast Trail apparently is the first leg of it on the Avalon Peninsula is 126 miles long. There are provisions all throughout the trail for anybody that wish to stay overnight. And they just have a little sign there asking people to leave it as they found it. And for a number of years now, since the trail has been open, they've hadn't had any problems along the trail. So a lot of people are respecting the trail. It's a nice trail. It's a very it's all natural, other than foot trails or foot bridges where it's needed throughout the trail across little streams or whatever. So. It's quite popular. We get a lot of Australians use the trail quite often. We get a lot of people visiting, individual, and probably 2 and 3 people at a time. And they come mainly to see the east coast of Canada, but also to use the walking trails.
And then we have a jet going overhead. You can't escape them no matter where you go, I'd say.
No, that's it. You get out here in peace and tranquility, and all of a sudden you got these big old birds up in the sky flying over your head. So.
Yeah, lots of kinds of birds around here in Dead Man's Bay.
That's right. Yeah, we just want wildlife. We don't want engine made.
This is so nice, just coming in here and cutting the engine, and that really terrible music you were playing too.
Oh yes, that was a terrible CD we had on. And but it's nice, a lot of people are relaxed. There's people on board today who are landlocked, who've never been on the ocean before. They're here. They're quite pleased and quite happy to be out here. And
do you regularly do this, like come in here and sort of cut the music and the engine stuff?
We come in here on certain days. On some days you can't get in here because of the sea conditions. Quite peaceful on the water, but where you close into a little cove like this, the waves can get. What we have is a
Look, that's a hell of a copter.
We have a helicopter coming in from the Hibernia oil rig now. He's just traveled 168 miles in offshore, and they're in the process of doing crew changes.
Okay.
But getting back to our little cove here, like I was saying, the sea conditions are quite calm outside, but when they narrow into a small area like this, you can get quite a roll in on the beach.
Yes.
And we don't like getting in too close, but most times that happens very rarely. But on most occasions, yeah, we do get in here, and we actually had people that used to come in here swimming at one point, and they come in, and we'll just wait around for them till they had their swim, and then pick them up and carry them on back to the city, and
Well, that sounds nice. Now, I don't know that I'd be that brave. I used to do quite a bit of swimming when I was a young fella, and just haven't had the opportunity to do it for years and years, so I'd have to, I think, pardon the pun, get my feet wet into it before I'd be jumping over there, I think.
yes. Yeah, it's like I said, if you get the sun playing on it for a couple of days, it kind of warms up a little. But it's still quite cold. The water temperature is right about now would be upwards, getting close now to 10 degrees. So
Okay.
but when you get the sun beating down on it here in this little cove, you can get upwards. It could get up to 20 degrees. So.
Really? Wow.
Because the water is so shallow in here and the sun gets so powerful, so if we had the water playing or the sun playing on the water here for a couple of hours just before the sun dropped down behind the cliffs here, it could be quite comfortable in having a little dip back in the Atlantic Ocean.
From what I can tell here now, the way it is with me, I wouldn't be in here too long before it'd be Frecklemania, I figure.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I break out mad. When I was a young fella, I used to be a little freckle face kind of thing. So, just like this little freckle face kid running around, and
There you go.
doesn't take long with the sun.
No, the sun brings out the best in everybody.
Yes. Freckles are beauty spots, by the way, folks.
That's right. That's right. So we're kind of off schedule now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak with the captain, see if we can't get underway again, and check with the rest of our passengers here and see if there's anybody on the schedule, and let them know that they're going to be late for their appointment.
Perfect.
So anyway, you can continue on. I'll be on board here if you need any other assistance.
Great stuff. Much appreciated. Yes. So that was our first mate. Not that we have 58 or 58th mate or anything like that. What do we have on board? We've got the skipper and the first mate. Uh-oh. That crew sounds a bit familiar to me. Here, take the mic.
Are you having a cigar again? I think we're heading out of the cove.
Bay.
That was beautiful.
Bay.
Bay, is that okay?
Dead Man's Bay.
Dead Man's Bay, not Cove. That was very, very nice.
Republic of Avalon Radio. You're with the roar!
So we're just being led toward the Narrows. How far are we from the Narrows now, would you say?
We're very close now. We're near Fort Amherst.
Okay.
Can you explain a bit about Fort Amherst?
It's nowhere near Amherst. It's a fort.
In the Narrows, on one side of the Narrows, which is the port side of the Narrows, is Fort Amherst, and there's a lighthouse on that side. It's a very kind of jutting piece of rock coming out there. And on the other side is a taller kind of mountain, which is called Signal Hill. Huge rock, which was very strategic with during wartime. Here, there are actually still cannons situated on either side of the harbor, and
They had those kind of cameras back then?
Did I say cameras? No.
You said cannons.
Cannons. Oh, sorry, that went right over my head. And they still have what's called the Signal Hill Tattoo, which is kind of a regiment of
I wonder, do they have Signal Hill piercings now too?
Which is these, it's kind of like theater, really. It's a regiment of army regiment that goes up in the morning and they shoot off their guns, and it's called the Signal Hill Tattoo. And it's very popular with the tourists.
We're going up on the hill shooting our guns.
So the narrows of St. John's Harbour were very strategic because no boats could actually get into St. John's.
And they used to put a chain right across, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it would just the ships would just run into it.
Oh yeah.
And then they would be ambushed, I suppose.
And then they'd be ambushed in the night.
Wow. those stealthy. What would they be?
All guns aiming at me now.
Ambushed in the night.
Yes, indeed. So you're learning a lot here today, folks, about what kind of cameras they used in the 1940s, and before the piercings, what kind of tattoos people have here in the Republic of Avalon, and also the music that was very popular at the time in the 40s, when the Germans were actually coming ashore. Lots and lots of stories about the Germans during the Second World War coming ashore on Saturday nights and going to the local dances in the various communities and having a good old time. Everybody had a nice time, Germans and Newfoundlanders alike.
Yeah.
What are they like?
What do they like, Tal?
What are they like, Tal?
Apparently there were people from all over the world in their boats here at one time, and it wouldn't be strange.
At one time?
Well, yeah. Well,
like all at the same time, like?
Well, I guess so. Portuguese and Spanish. And
so they all just went 1, 2, 3, and then they all came over here, and they were here all at one time?
No. They came in like with provisions.
At different times.
All that kind of stuff, and they used to swim in the harbor as well, like play ball on the waterfront and
swimming at the harbor.
Jump off the boats into the water and stuff. You wouldn't do that now because it's very polluted.
Because you just hit.
But they're cleaning it up. They are actually cleaning up our harbor. Slowly but surely.
That's very nice of them.
Yes, it is.
What made them do that?
I think people just, got tired of it and said, this is enough. We've got to do something about this. And it took years and years for the government to come on board and to put the money into it and for everybody to commit to actually cleaning up the harbor. So finally, with a lot of persistence on some local people, I think it finally drove home that, okay, we've got to do this. And about time, I'd say.
Clean up our mess.
Yeah, exactly. We had raw sewage going right into the harbor for years.
Yeah, I much prefer the cooked stuff myself.
The seagulls were turning brown and everything.
Like, chopped sewage.
But we have such a beautiful place here that if we don't take care of it, who is going to? Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, like the guy goes into the Chinese restaurant and he's completely disgusted with the poo-poo platter. He just can't bring himself to ordering a poo-poo platter, so instead he has a number 2.
You're just so funny. Okay, we're passing by Fort Amherst here, and you can see all the, what would you call those places where they had the cannons and the guns? It's like a fortress that they built out of, it's concrete fortresses along the...
Fortresses?
Fortresses. You can go in them. They're bunkers. That's what they are.
Bunkers?
You can go in them now. You can go into the bunkers and see where they have the places for the guns and everything. Like the holes for the guns. And and then they built lighthouses there as well after that. But all the bunkers are still there.
Meathead used to live there. At the bunkers.
I always wanted to camp out in one of those bunkers. Let me see.
Yeah?
But they're so cool. They're right there. Yeah.
The bunkers are just right there.
So we're passing through...
hey, Archie!
Passing through the Narrows right now. And on our starboard side, we have Signal Hill, which is a really big, huge monstrosity of a
hill.
Mountain.
That's Signal Mountain.
And you can actually take a walk around it. A lot of tourists take that walk.
And many of them never come back.
That's right.
It's our trick.
You have to go around and then go up the back of Signal Hill, which is a very steep incline. And then when you reach the top, you're actually at Cabot Tower.
What if you're coming down, though? Wouldn't it be down a steep decline?
Yes, it would, actually.
So it all depends on which way you look at it, really.
It does, definitely.
So if you're not looking at it from the perspective of going up or down, what is it? A steep what? A steepness.
Steepness, yeah. Exactly.
A steepness monster.
And Cabot Tower, Signal Hill, they say that Marconi received the first wireless transatlantic signal from there.
But it's a lie.
It's a lie. And we're here to tell you the truth.
Yes, he was actually at the infirmary. Not up on top of Signal Hill at Cabot Tower. But it is true that it was here in 1901 where Marconi received the first transatlantic wireless message, and it was the letter S in Morse code. Dit, dit, dit. 3 little short dits. In Morse code we call them dits and das, not dots and dashes. Dots and dashes only confuses issues, you see? Because dots are too easily confused with das. So you have das and Greenslades and Porters and... No, sorry. I'm hearkening back to my childhood growing up in Long Pond now. You have dits and das. So, for example, the letter S is 3 dits, so it's dit-dit-dit. And everyone knows, everybody knows the old SOS. An O is 3 das. So you get 3 dits, 3 das, and 3 dits. Dit-dit-dit, da-da-da, dit-dit-dit. That's SOS in Morse code. And ain't that just something?
That's really something. Actually, on the podcast Bound for St. Pierre, on the end of the song Bound for St. Pierre, which we were playing on the trip.
That's right. Yeah, and I didn't even tell anybody about that.
No, you didn't. At the end of the song, there is actually Morse code built into the song, and it is SPM, which means St. Pierre and Miquelon.
Yes, Sierra Papa Mexico. And so if you listen to the end of Bound for St. Pierre from that episode of The Roar, or if you have the Gypsy CD, go to track, what the heck is it, 7 or something, and you hear at the end of the song, because being a ham radio operator and knowing Morse code and everything, I just incorporated that into the tune. Actually, let me just play that little bit for you here now, so that you'll actually hear it instead of forcing you to go back to a previous episode or buy a copy of the CD or anything silly like that. So here it is right here now. Listen at the end of the guitar run. Listen for did-it-dit, did-da-da, did-da-da. And now that you've got that SPM sorted out, and we were bound for St. Pierre, now we're back from St. Pierre, and currently we are going in through the Narrows. So let's have a listen to In Through the Narrows from my solo CD, first solo CD, Gypsy, as we go in through the Narrows. Republic of Avalon Radio. You're with The Roar. I'm Jim Fiddler, and I hope you enjoyed that little trip out on board the Shenandoah 2, Deejay Charters, out through St. John's Harbour and back. Of course, back, because if we never made it back, you wouldn't be hearing me now, and that wouldn't be such a good thing for me anyway. So, there you go. Again, we mentioned during the show, if you want to have a look at their website, it's www.djcharters.ca. That's DEEJAY charters.ca. And I've been getting some email and some inquiries from some people. Mike Buzzboom, for example, in Vienna, who you heard off the top of the show. He was wondering, where can you buy some of this music? And I've not really been, I guess, beating the drum on that around here. Just getting caught up in the enjoyment of putting these shows together for you week after week. I guess I've neglected to let you know. The music, for the most part, except for what we play from other artists, is original material. I record albums, CDs, and to date I've just completed my fourth sort of solo CD, the first of which would be something called Gypsy, the second Friendly Fire, the third I did with two friends of mine, one from Saint-Pierre and the other from Morocco. That would be Thierry Arthur from Saint-Pierre and Lekbir Halali from Morocco. That was the third one. And the fourth one was entirely solo again, just little old me. And that would be the latest one, Midnight Rover. All that stuff is available for you guys at my official website, my recording artist website. That's www.jimfiddler.com. So if you feel so inspired, Christmas is coming up, kiddies. They make great gifts. So, in any case, just for you who were wondering about that, those emails and a few messages that we've gotten, inquiries about, hey, where can we get this music, kind of tapped me on the shoulder. I'm not a very good salesman, as you can probably tell. But that's okay. As long as we're having fun here and you're having fun with us. That's the main thing. Well, that's it for this week. We will just remind you that we love to hear from you. You can get in touch with us at republicofavallonradio@gmail.com or jimfiddler@gmail.com. That's JIMFIDLER.com. Not to be confused with that person there that you heard back at the beginning of the show. Jim Fiddler from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Now, what's with that, folks? Well, I'll tell you what that was. That was my dad. He called the Roar line, and if you go back and listen, I'm sure you'll probably hear somewhat of a vocal similarity there somewhere. Actually, in 1987, when I was in Aliquippa, I answered the phone one time and had about a 10-minute conversation with my grandma. And, of course, my dad's name is Jim as well, as you gathered. His middle name is Marley, and mine isn't. But the whole time she thought she was talking to her son as opposed to her grandson. So, a little interesting tidbit there for you. Okay, also the other ways you can get in touch with us, you can Skype us at Republic of Avalon Radio, all one word, all lowercase. And as my dad did, you can call us on the Roar line, country code 1, area code 724-426-8176. And that's our absolute flat-out favorite one because we get to hear your voice. And you've already heard ours, and it's good for us when we get a chance to hear you. It's a great connect. We can kind of hear your voice and get a feel for you and know who we're talking to week after week. So, in the meantime, we hope to hear from you. Oh, yes, the website. I keep forgetting the website. It's just www.republicofavallonradio.com. you can click on the PayPal button there and throw a little tip in the tip jar if you feel so inclined. That's always appreciated. Or the other way you can help us is just to spread the word about the Roar. Just tell your friends about Republic of Avalon Radio, and the more the merrier. Let's grow this little family here, and you never know where we might end up at some point. Face down in a ditch seems to be pretty much assured, so let's see if we can kind of try to avoid that one. In any case, thanks again for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed your time with us here at Republic of Avalon Radio. Take care of each other, and we will see you next week here on Republic of Avalon Radio.
A Root Cellar production.